Here we are again, another week of NEAFL TV, and can you believe it is round 3 already? Some of the top teams are really starting to find their groove. Let's take a look at all the highlights. UWS had a giant task on the road meeting the informed Brisbane Lions. The reigning NEAFL champions had plenty of star power but were left stunned in the opening term, with the visitors streaking away to an early 28-point lead. The Lions were licking their wounds but pounced back in spectacular fashion in the second quarter, with the goal-kicking end favouring the home side. UWS could only manage 2 behinds in the second quarter, but momentum again swung their way in the third, narrowing the gap to 13 points, setting up a thrilling finish. Former Carlton player Satanta O'Halpin, the standout up forward with 3 goals, but the Giants were their own worst enemy, failing to notch up strong consecutive quarters of football. They kicked 4 points in the final term, the Lions 30. The Sydney Swans reserves and Gold Coast Suns did battle in a curtain raiser to the main event at the Sydney Cricket Ground to kickstart round 3 of the NEAFL. It was tough going for both teams in the opening quarter before they showed confidence in their respective game plans after the first break. Jed Lamb proving again while he'll be one to watch for the Swans this season, helping set up Mitch Morton, who kicked 4 goals for the day. A 51-point lead at half-time, Sydney was in cruise control. Tim Membray and Harry Cunningham booting 5 goals between them, as the Suns could only manage one multiple goal kicker for the day, with Joshua Hall booting 3. It was all one-way traffic, the Red V dominating from start to finish. Sydney flexing their muscles, sending a message to the rest of the competition: they'll be hard to beat. The Tuggeranong Hawks flew into the nest, Belconnen's 3rd home game in a row. Both teams coming off wins, with the Hawks making the competition stand up and listen after shocking Eastlake in their opening hit-out. Belconnen was calling for improvement and a victory the best way to celebrate James Bennett's 100th game at the club. Their start was supreme in front of their home fans. Player coach Matthew Loken got numerous touches early, helping the side steer to a strong 28-point lead. Tuggeranong picked up the tempo, but the Magpies conjured up more shots on goal and didn't seem troubled. Andrew Dess joining centenary man Bennett with 2 goals each. The battle of the birds going the way of Belconnen. Positive signs again, though, out of Tuggeranong, with new recruit Brent McLeod backing up his performance last week with 2 goals of his own. Belconnen on track to build a fortress at Kippax. Ansley had a spring in their step coming off their first win of the year. Josh Bennett wanted to prove his 6 goals against the Hills Eagles was no fluke, and he was on track early. Morningside had its own lethal weapon up the other end, with Jackson Starcevic continuing his straight shooting form. The visitors hit the front in the second quarter, the tricolours still within reach, as Bennett continued to split the middle and was well supported by teammate Nick Payne. It was the premiership quarter where Morningside did the most damage, putting the result within doubt. Starcevic kicked 5 for the day, teammate Ken Abbey 3 in a cross-conference win. Back to the drawing board for Ansley, who fell short, but the sides are good up forward, Bennett finishing the day with 7 of his own. A local derby between 2 Sydney teams, each looking for their maiden win of the season. Sydney Uni started well without captain Alex Lee, winning the battle of the middle. Entry inside 50 was classy, getting ahead on the scoreboard, kicking the first 3 goals. Trent Barrett slick up forward.
Play on, goal.
Hills took a leaf out of their book, peppering the forward line with captain Jamie Vladko on fire.
That's a great pass.
Eugene Kruger had a mountain of possession and was well supported by coach Mark Dragicevic and Eamon Buchanan. Their lead getting out to over 6 goals. Vladko put his body on the line and his hand up for Mark of the Year.
He does!
In an inspirational display by the skipper, Vladko proved the difference up forward. He was unstoppable in front of his home crowd. Hills Eagles on the board for the first time this season and bragging rights against the crosstown rivals. Back on home soil, the Northern Territory Thunder coaching staff called for an improved performance as they chased their first win of the year. Mount Gravatt found themselves in the same situation but went into the clash as underdogs. A host of talent remained sidelined for the home team, still missing 8 players through injury. Debutant Baden Ogulkan got the call-up and took it with both hands. But the visitors took the most of their opportunities as well.
The goal, they now lead the Thunder 2 straight 12.
Kicking away to a shock early lead at quarter time, it was pegged back in the second, with the Thunder taking the lead and never looked back.
Shouldn't miss this. He kicks from 30 metres out, just guides it through.
Darren Ewing once again proved to be a dominant piece of the Thunder puzzle, bagging 8 goals and was well supported by Chris Dunn. Andrew Scott was named one of the best for the visitors, a long trip home without the competition points. Gambier was looking to keep their unbeaten record at home intact, looking to spoil the party Eastlake, desperate to put their loss to Tuggeranong behind them. But they struggled to do so. Tigers full forward James Kavanagh was brilliant up forward. The usual suspects of Kane Stevens and Will Griggs were hard to stop as well. Eastlake star performer Ryan Brabazon had an early exit with a serious knee injury in the first quarter. Gambier reaching 100 points at half-time, Eastlake their own worst enemy only on 11. The second half was no different. Tough watching for Eastlake fans as the Tigers went on the prowl with immediate results. Kavanagh, the Gambier veteran, finished with 9 goals up forward. Stevens and Conroy kicked 4 each in a game Gambier dominated from start to finish. Eastlake struggling in the early rounds of the competition and quickly need to turn their form around. Broadbeach and Southport had to battle the elements with a freak storm interrupting our filming. The Sharks took home the points in a comprehensive display, Edward Mallon leading the way with 4 goals. To the ladder, Southport sit on top of the table with a 4-point buffer. The Lions and Morningside are on 8 points. Gold Coast and the NT Thunder make up the top 5. The Queanbeyan Tigers remain on top of the table with a 4-point buffer ahead of the Sydney Swans reserves and Belconnen. Ansley is in 4th place, followed by the Hills Eagles. Tuggeranong and Eastlake are also on 4 competition points, while the Giants and Sydney Uni are yet to record their first win. Next week, the Giants play host to Ansley. Also on Saturday, Hills Eagles are at home again, meeting Southport. Sydney Uni play their first home game of the season with Eastlake. Aspley go head-to-head with Broadbeach. Mount Gravatt is looking to collect their first points when they play Labrador. The Suns host the Lions. On Sunday, Redland meets Morningside and Tuggeranong faces the big task of the Sydney Swans reserves. For more details, head to NEAFL.com.au and we'll see you next week for another round of the NEAFL.